Today we're gonna go through the basics of how to make a tasty, creamy risotto. So by the end of this video, you should know how to make it yourself. And I've got here one small white onion, and in an ideal situation, you might wanna use shallots instead of white onion, just because it has a lighter onion flavor. But in most situations, you're not gonna find shallots in your regular shop around the corner, so with onion, you'll be just fine. Now, 2 cloves of garlic, and again, is a situation when some recipes will not even talk about adding garlic. I feel like it works. It brings something to this recipe that makes it taste better. But if you don't like it or if you want to skip it, that's totally fine. Now set the pan on medium heat, and when the pan is hot enough, we're going in with about 2-3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. In goes the finely chopped onion and garlic. And now we're going to cook this for about 3 to 5 minutes or until the onion starts becoming sweeter during the cooking process. Now we have here 300 grams of Arborio rice. This is the perfect rice for risotto. It works really well, it's got high starch content, and it gets nice and creamy. So when you're buying your rice, make sure that it's suitable for this dish, because there is a specific variety that you want to choose. Is either this or there are a few more, but make sure that it's suitable for risotto. This doesn't require washing, by the way. It's not like when you're making, let's say, something with basmati rice. This goes in as it is because you don't want to wash off that starch that surrounds the grain. Now at this stage of cooking, I also like to add a sprig of fresh thyme. And we're going to continue cooking this for about 5 minutes or until the grain of the rice starts becoming translucent at the edges. So you almost start seeing through it. Then is when you know that you can move to the next stage of cooking. Now a quick important tip here, when you're mixing into your risotto, make sure that you're using a wooden spoon, a silicone spoon, something that's slightly softer texture, so you don't break the grain whilst mixing. Now I'm happy with what I see here, and I'm gonna add now the white wine. I've got here about 100 milliliters of dry white wine. And we're gonna cook this for a further 2-3 minutes or until the wine evaporates, and all we end up with is the flavor from the wine. So most of the alcohol will evaporate during this process. I have here 1 liter of vegetable stock, but you can also go with chicken. I actually quite like chicken, but in this situation, I made some quick vegetable stock. Doesn't take long. All you need is just a few vegetables, simmer them for an hour, and there is your vegetable stock right there. So you can go with chicken stock if you wish, but the key here is make sure that it's hot when you're adding it in, because if it's not hot, it will stop the cooking process of the rice and you need to wait again to get to a simmering temperature and so on. Because we're gonna add these gradually, we're gonna begin with 2-3 small ladles. Now something that I'm quite keen on doing right after starting adding the stock is to add the salt in. So I'm going in with about ½ teaspoon to begin with, and we're going to test at the end. But it's important, in my opinion, to add the salt at the beginning, because during the cooking process, they will get absorbed by the grain, and it will have so much better flavor than just adding the entire seasoning at the end. Now, before you get to the 16 minutes cooking time, make sure that you taste your risotto and see it might be ready earlier. So something to bear in mind, because you don't want to overcook it. And a term that you probably hear a lot is al dente. That's how risotto should be cooked. That's how pasta should be cooked. And this is a term that Italians use a lot. And what does that mean is to bite. So when you bite into it, it's cooked, but it still has a bit of texture in there. So it's not cooked like all the way through. Now I'm happy with what I see here. So we can remove the thyme. It's done its job. And in order to make this creamier, but also giving it more flavor, this is what we're doing. I've got here 50 grams of butter, cold butter, chopped into cubes. And I'm gonna add 2 at a time, mix, make sure that they get absorbed by the sauce. And then we're going with 2 more, and so on. And now is also the time when we're going in with about 50 grams of grated Parmesan cheese. Make sure everything gets well incorporated and your risotto gets nice and creamy. Now turn off the heat, and if you want, you can also add some chopped chives into it or some fresh parsley. And this was today's recipe. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, it's really important for me to give you a thumbs up so I know that you like it, and also subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.